Another solid episode this week. I love how the showrunners aren't afraid of taking a slower approach for this prequel. There's a built-in fan base with this series. HBO doesn't have to worry about shoehorning in some shocking deaths or sex scenes as long as the story holds up. And everyone that's read Fire and Blood knows that it does. Even though 6 months have passed since the last episode, the pacing is still silky smooth. Very little has changed in this world since Queen Aemma's death, and Rhaenyra was named heir. Well, except for Prince Daemon disobeying his brother, and instead of going to the Vale to be with his wife, that he abandoned, he went to Dragonstone to be with his paramour, Viserys. Everyone has kinda just ignored his antics, but things got too serious when he announced he is about to make a dragon rider. Daemon, being as unpredictable as he is alarming enough to have his own grown dragon for the king. Having a child with someone with unknown intentions will set the alarms. The Hand, Hightower, went full panic, seeing his rival become this egregious. Daemon was all bark, no bite this episode. You can say he was afraid to go full treason, but him still loving his family is just as strong as an argument. Daemon isn't the evil, jealous uncle trope of a character you see in other stories. He's a lot more complex. And the actor playing him, Matt Smith, really understands that. He has the hardest role to play in this first season, and he's continuing to kill it. Daemon lying about the marriage and pregnancy with Viserys was a nice little twist. I don't think he was just trying to get his brother's attention after being ignored all these months. I think he was just testing the waters if he did put a dragon egg in a baby's cradle to bond them together. Viserys was right. Daemon will always be allowed to push things farther than others, but Viserys and a baby that they might have won't have the same protections without the Targaryen name. Daemon already has a wife. This baby will always be a bastard. Daemon gave up the egg. Dragon eggs are seen as the Targaryen's property and are well guarded on Dragonstone. But with Daemon taking this island and castle as his own, which dragon keeper is really going to throw his life away to deny him? The seat of Dragonstone is customarily given to the heir of the Seven Kingdoms until it's their time to rule in King's Landing. You could practice governing before responsible for the Seven Kingdoms. Daemon is still referring to himself as the rightful heir, and has taken what should be Rhaenyra's when she's ready to leave the nest. Daemon's epithet and the name of the episode is the Rogue Prince, but there's one other major character going rogue with him, Lord Corlys Velaryon. He grew tired of being pushed aside and disrespected and is now joining causes with Daemon to start a full-blown war on the Stepstones. I don't love the portrayal of this character yet. This episode actually made things a little worse for me. Corlys seems a little too whiny when he should be one of the most powerful men ever in the story. I do like what they're doing with his wife, Princess Rhaenys Targaryen. Her fire is still burning. You don't know where her allegiance lies. Corlys was so vital for the Targaryens that he was given a Targaryen wife, a huge honor having dragon riders for children. He's a living legend by this point in the story after his voyages around the world. He's the reason people of Westeros know anything about certain locations further east. The map of this world is thanks to him. He's not just a rich guy with boats. But there's time to explore all that. These two are on their way with a small army to invade the Stepstones that's been hindering Corlys' trade. So if you've been waiting for some dragon battles, it's coming very soon. Even some old man sea snake action, that's his epithet. The fight for the Stepstones against the notorious Prince of Myr, called Crab Feeder, is a very obscure piece of lore. I don't remember him actually feeding pirates layering here on these islands to crabs. I think it just had to do more with letting them drown at sea. I'm going to go back and reread the couple sentences that he's mentioned in supplementary books and make a whole video this week about these disputed lands between Westeros and Essos. Because the Stepstones were not even close to relevant during Game of Thrones' run. But as important as the rogue story arcs were in this second episode, it was still very Rhaenyra heavy. She got a little defiant herself by going to Dragonstone on Syrax without her father's leave so she can personally speak with her Uncle Daemon. Otto would just rile the rogue prince up more. Rhaenyra also got closer with her friend Alicent, and even with her father after having trouble connecting with him since the queen's death. But by the end of the episode, King Viserys declares he will marry Alicent Hightower instead of his little cousin, Lena Velaryon. So now their relationship seems to be worse than ever. This episode finally gives us an age for Rhaenyra, something I've been wondering for a while. She's clearly aged up from the books, now we know she's 15. Lena being 12 is weird considering she's supposed to be older than Rhaenyra, but whatever, that doesn't really matter. Alicent has successfully manipulated the king into marrying her, but she's also just her father's puppet. She would have been happy just being Rhaenyra's friend, but now she's about to become the queen and a stepmother. Like Corlys, Rhaenyra is being ignored, patronized, and pushed aside in small council meetings. To make her feel important, she was given the task to elect a new member of the Kingsguard out of a hand-chosen few candidates. A former Lord Commander is now dead, and Sir Criston Cole is replacing him. A character named Ryan Redwine was an old man that served the old king for a long time as his Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. even his Hand of the King, but he was so bad at that job that he had to be replaced as Hand after a few months. Being one of the best knights never translated into being a good political advisor. This makes Harold Westerling, this guy, the new Lord Commander. As for the guys passed on, Sir Desmond Caron, son of Lord Royce Caron, recently caught a poacher, but he's up here because his family are nobles of the Stormlands, and honoring the royal family's liege lords does inspire allegiance to the crown. The other guy, Sir Ryman Mallister, son of Lord Lymond, is also a noble, this time from a powerful house in the Riverlands. But he was the winner of Attorney Melee, an actual good candidate. Rhaenyra just likes Kristen, but he's also very skilled enough to beat Daemon twice. None of them will be able to protect the king against the Iron Throne. The cuts he's got from all the swords are not healing. They're getting worse. The infected wounds are from old melted steel, made into the Iron Throne 100 years back. I wouldn't want century-old metal getting into my bloodstream. The Maesters mentioned last episode that his stresses isn't helping things, and I'm very intrigued about where this is going. This is all new territory, because Viserys is not fleshed out in the books, well, character-wise. Can't wait to see where it all goes. I'll see you guys in a few days with that Stepstones video.